Welcome. You have found the Success Series Special Edition webinar brought to you by State Civil Service. I'm Christy Atwood.
Hi, and I'm Kimberly Broussard.
We are so thrilled you're here with us today. We
Yes.
are going to have some really good information because you've gotten to that point now where you have been working at home for a little while and you've probably found some ways to do things. You've also found some challenges that you've overcome and some challenges that you might not have overcome. Isn't that what you're going through, Kim?
Definitely. The first week, I was trying to find my groove. So it was basically trial and error, me trying out new things to see what works well for not only me, but others in the house. And so we've gradually gotten past that stage of finding our groove. We found our groove. So I'm excited to share some tips and hear some new tips from the people that are on here today to see, if there's anything new out there that I haven't learned yet.
It's ideas to keep building on what we've got working and overcoming what we don't have going. And so that's something that we need to continually share, that we need to continually work on. Kim, have you started finding things that are really working well for you now?
Definitely. I found a few tips that have been working well for me, and I definitely am a person who follows a schedule and needs a schedule and a routine in my life. So I've definitely found a routine.
I understand that. Well, I know that one of the other things that you have found is about working with when you're not the only one in the house, because we work individually, but we're not necessarily alone all the time.
That's right. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you have encountered working, with others, sharing that workspace and trying to find, a schedule that or an area that each of you can occupy during this time. And so, Julie, I know that you and your husband have both been working from home right now, right?
Yes, we have for 5 weeks now, and we've we early on, like we mentioned in one of the previous webinars, we sat down and established some guidelines because we do two very different types of work. He's on the phone all the time, and doing a lot of walking around and talking, and I do things that require a lot of concentration. So. I play in the home office, and he gets to be in the living room or wherever he chooses to be. But one of the things that we established pretty early on is when he can interrupt me and when he can't, because I need those solid blocks of times where I can concentrate. And I usually keep the door to the office closed, but he likes to chat a little bit more than I do. So to help him remember what we agreed upon, I took it out of his hand so he didn't have to remember. And now when he can't come in, I just tape that little sign to the door. Yes, that's my office door. And a very nice note that I left him that says, if you can read this, please do not enter. Thank you. Uh, so he knows that now he doesn't have to remember when he can or can't come in. If he sees that, he knows he can't come in, that I'm doing something that requires my full attention. And it's oddly enough, one of our partners at LTRC, who we work a lot with, Angela Riveras, emailed me earlier, and we were talking about the webinar from last week. So I asked her a quick question because I know she probably has others working at home with her, and she said her and her coworker developed a system because they're both on the phone a lot, and her coworker got the office like I did. So now he rings a bell when he's done with his calls. So she knows that she can make noise out in the front of the house. So I thought that was a pretty cool tip as well. So a note, a bell, be creative, whatever you have at home.
I like the fact that both of what you and she had in common was that you guys both had set those guidelines ahead of time on who gets what and what's the routine for the both of you.
Yeah, it's better to have those conversations in the beginning so you can avoid the conflict, so you don't have to walk out and yell, hey, I'm on the phone, or whatever, because we are at home with our new coworkers, so you don't want to have conflict and then be stuck at home with them.
Definitely not. You can't go very far with the silent treatment.
So
Yeah, and the scheduling, the whole concept of working around each other's schedules. In fact, we just got a message here from Julie, a different Julie, who said that she doesn't have a separate area to work in, so she has to set certain boundaries with her team. So she tries to plan breaks with him so he has something to look forward to, and it helps him keep more focused on his schoolwork too. So working our schedules around each other when we have others in the house can help a lot.
Yeah, and actually, my husband's works from home sometimes, but he also still is going into the office. So we have that conversation every morning, like, okay, are you working from home today? Where are you going to be today? And we've also established that he gives me an hour heads up that when he leaves the office, he sends me a text to let me know that I have about an hour before he gets home and starts being on the phone. So I can knock out any tasks that are going to require um, all of my concentration.
Great, great systems. We're getting a lot of comments on this one. Mary says that her coworker and she have a system too. She said her office door is right next to the front door. So when she's conducting a class or she's in a meeting, he taps on the door quietly so she can mute her microphone and he can sneak past. Well, that's a pretty good idea. Huh?
Pretty good idea.
Yeah, So these are some great ideas. People are really coming up with ways to get around this. So I love this. We're getting so many of them right now. One of the things I do for my grandkids and husband is put up flags. I don't have an isolated area to work at home. I place a red flag when I'm working, a yellow flag when I'm on break, and a green flag when I'm off. I think I may have to take your system, children. This is too good.
Awesome.
I love that. Excellent ideas here. All right. And so yeah, blocking times for specific needs, making sure that you all know what each one is working on at any given time so you know whether to be quiet or whatever. Dana, you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I know this was going to come up later in the webinar, but I actually, as you guys are discussing it and these great ideas are coming in, one thing that we have discussed in the past is to actually, I don't know if you can see it because I'm not having a good view of my own
I
camera.
can see it. The name
Okay.
badge. The gorgeous Dana LeBur's name badge. Yes.
This is my badge, and I'm actually wearing it today. And when I put this badge on, to me that turns into work time. And so I have actually found, even though I don't have others in the house that don't have four legs, this gets my head in the right place. But I think that is similar to our viewers' flag idea. When I've got the badge on, that means I'm working. If I take the badge off, I'm not working. So this might be a good kind of visual symbol as well, like the flags did. So just wanted to throw that in there as well.
I like that. I really think it's a great idea. It's a whole mental mindset at the same time. So I think that's a great idea. And as far as scheduling goes, I had Michael asking, they have 3 at home and 2 of them are working at home and the third is a college student working online and they're having those bandwidth issues with their internet. And that is a definite challenge that a lot of us are going through. And the main thing that we're seeing with that is that people are starting to schedule around those things. Okay, I have a meeting, so this is the time I have to have the internet with nobody else on it because I need all the bandwidth because we're doing video, that kind of thing. And so finding out when they have their Zoom meetings, when they have their stuff going on and scheduling around that. I think that's like our big rocks now that we put onto our calendar is, okay, here's the things that have to happen at certain times on the internet. And then we schedule our other meetings around that. That seems to be my best bet on that.
Definitely.
All right. Wow. These are good ideas. This is wonderful stuff. Well, okay. So we have others that we work with at home, but some of them, yes, are shorter than us. And I know you're dealing with this, not much shorter. Yes. So Kimberly, tell us a little bit here.
Well, I've definitely have adjusted to working from home. My son, I have a 6th grader, and he is currently in school. So he goes to a private school, and so they're still getting work. They're still taking tests. He's having Zoom classes with his teachers and his class. And so some tips that I've learned, because the first week I was all over the place trying to come up with a routine, not only for myself, but my 6th grader. And so some tips that I've learned along the way through trial and error is definitely to have my son sit next to me to do his schoolwork. And I found that when I'm working, he's working with me. And I get an occasional question about his curriculum, but a lot of the teaching is done via computer. So he's watching videos with his headphones and we're working together. So that's definitely something that, I found that works. Now for those of you whose kids, who don't have the luxury of their kids doing homework and they're sitting idle, it's important to find some activities or set or schedule some activities for them, because sometimes they like a routine. And so, with my son, we get all of the curriculum that he needs to complete for the week. And so I go ahead and I write down what he has to do each day. But I believe Kalisha, she has a, a daughter who is actually in school now. And so what do you find, Kalisha, that works for you and your daughter?
Not schedules. She's a little bit more of a free spirit. And I wish I would have sat down, like Julie said, and kind of set out those expectations for her coworker. But my 7-year-old does things a little bit differently. God bless her teachers. I can't wait for school to start back. But it was important for us to figure out, what is it that she needs to do, since unlike you, Kim, her work is optional. But as my team knows, I can be strict and I love structure. And so I needed her to do something. And so a schedule like this doesn't exactly work for her, but just knowing that throughout the day, there are some times that she's going to be working along with me, and then there's going to be some times that we need to take some breaks. So we had to figure out when were those times. It's not exact every day, so I have to be very flexible, which can be an adjustment for me, but I had to figure out that she cannot sit still for hours at a time like I can and concentrate on a certain task. So she has some school work that can be interactive for her and keep her attention for a little bit. But I know within a half an hour, she's going to be asking when she can get up and do something else, or when can she eat another snack again, even though we've just had a meal. Really trying to figure out what are those breaks look like, and what are the times when we need to work. So a nice, pretty schedule like this didn't exactly work for us, but knowing that she's going to need certain breaks, and then also having those expectations. So we didn't do it in the very beginning, but it's important for us now, for her to recognize, okay, when mom is talking to the computer, that means that she can't come in and ask questions, because she has a lot of questions, or when she sees that I'm dressed in a certain way, she knows what those signs and signals mean. And so that we're able to kind of communicate to one another and set those expectations in that way. So that's what works for us. And then also understanding that because it's not going to be a full strict schedule like a school day would, recognizing that I need to give myself a break at times too, and scheduling in an extended recess has worked wonders during this time. So maybe not spending 30 minutes outside, maybe it's spending an hour or 2 hours outside. And that gives me time to be able to get some of my work done, and that she can go and have fun too. And that's okay.
Definitely. One thing that I did learn through this process as well is that when we first, when they decided they were going to do this homeschooling, I thought that he had to sit with me for 6 hours and complete all his work like it's a full day of school.
Of course, that's what we do.
Right. And so I quickly learned that no, I am overwhelming him. And so, as you guys can see on the screen, he's only supposed to get about 3 to 4 hours of instruction a day. So that per day. So that's what I've been trying to do. We don't do more than 3.5 hours of schoolwork.
Yeah.
And so, some tips for you guys, and I've read, but because I have the luxury of him having, I wouldn't say luxury, I guess, but he's in, doing homeschool right now. But for those of you who have, smaller kids that, are not in school and need to find some kind of activities, there's some great things online that I've been reading in regards to if you have to schedule a Zoom meeting where you're doing or have a meeting, to kind of schedule maybe a movie time, put a movie on, get them popcorn, something to occupy their time, or to look and download one of those school like educational apps. I know that they have a lot out there, but just to find some kind of activity so that you don't get that interruption. Now, is it foolproof? Will they not bother you? No, no. You will
You know,
still.
you bring up a good point, Kim. Like I have learned to not feel guilty for letting my kid have her tablet for a certain amount of time. So when I have an important webinar or something like that I need to attend, to not feel guilty for all the screen time that she's getting, because this is something that we're all adjusting to. And so if that means that she's quiet for a certain amount of time so that I can focus on a webinar, hey, that works for us.
Mhm. I mean, it's difficult to juggle, your work and trying to entertain kids.
Right.
And then the one who commented about the 1 month old and what it was, Christy, the 1 year old and 1 month old.
Something like that. Yeah.
That I will,
3-year-old and 1 month old. Yeah.
yeah,
Figure
that's
out how
tough.
those ages quiet. I mean, that's a miracle worker right there.
That's right. That's definitely right. But
So,
it's important for you to keep in mind as well that it's important for you to take care of yourself and to take that time out, go and take a walk with the kids, get some fresh air, and to take that breather when you find yourself getting overwhelmed.
Oh yeah, definitely. They appreciate you being a happier person too. I've learned that.
Hmm. Definitely.
wow, this is good stuff. It really is changing a lot of our expectations, isn't it?
Hmm.
You have this wonderful picture right away that it's like, oh, it's going to be this wonderful time with my child sitting at their desk quietly next to me while I work, and we both work all day. And then at 3:30 we say, yay, and end the school day. Not quite like that.
No,
Nope.
no.
No.
But to be fair, I never had that vision. I knew it was going to be chaotic.
I was looking at Olivia said that she currently works for the state as a full-time employee, but she was homeschooled along with her 10 other siblings. And she said staggering is the key,
Mm.
on these. Everything doesn't have to be done at the same time every day. She said her mom used to teach them in shifts. So
Ooh.
very interesting, the things that people come up with to be able to address this. And when you're dealing with that many kids, you would really have to be kind of organized, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Oh yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. That was great information. And I know that there's a whole lot of people out there right now with the kid pulling at their leg going, okay, at least other people know what I'm going through.
It's normal.
You're not in this alone.
Yes, you're definitely not in alone. All right, so we've looked at others, we've looked at children, but then
Yes.
there's something else that could be in your house at this time, and you've heard the noises of mine in the background. Kim?
There's a new type of coworker out there too, and these are they're demanding some attention now that they have us home, and whether they give you the puppy dog eyes or the purring on your leg just to get what they want. I'm sure, Dana, I know that you have a handful of animals at your home. How are you adjusting with your new coworkers?
Yes, I have 4 coworkers, 2 dogs and 2 cats, and they are certainly a handful. And so yeah, I've learned a few things for how to deal with them while I'm trying to work. And I think the first thing that I've learned has to do with, we've said it before with spouses, we've said it with children, and it's about schedule. And animals also need a set schedule, and they did have one when I was going to the office. We would get up, they would have their hour outside, we would have breakfast, whatever that schedule was. It no longer works for working at home because when they see me at home, particularly when they hear me talking, it's party time. It's time to play, and it's time to go for a walk, and it's time to bark, and it's time to do other things. So I think the biggest thing that was helpful to me to learn was to kind of reset their schedule. So
Mm.
evenings was the time that we went for walks. Evenings were the time that we played fetch. And what I'm doing now that has been very, very helpful is I have switched to multiple play sessions during the day. Instead of one big exhausting walk or one big playtime, I split it up to when I need quiet time, when I need concentration time. And we will do a mini kind of walk or play session. For example, before this webinar, about 45 minutes beforehand, I took the dogs outside and played fetch. And when we play fetch, they run. So now they're a little tired. One's barking at something. Hopefully you can't hear that. But the other one is laying in the sun. And so that has helped a lot, just kind of moving their activity, chopping it up into places that I need them to be quiet, because I understand they have a cycle of play, eat, sleep. And so that's what I'm trying to adjust to. They also do need quiet time. I have found that they can just keep getting themselves worked up and worked up and worked up if I play into that. So they want to play, I play. They don't want to stop playing, and then they just start spinning around in circles. So we need to cycle, and I love the eat, play, sleep cycle. And I see Lacey's popped in. She might have something to add.
Well, mine, this is what they do. At 1 o'clock, they go into bark mode. So I've tried, yeah. Yeah, it's like clockwork. That's why I have to go to the office if I want to do these. So it's really trying. It sometimes I feel like I'm going a little crazy because they won't stop barking. So yeah, at that point, I got to take them for a walk. We get in the car, we ride around if we need to. I pray a lot, you know. They're very challenging. But I think Dana's right. It's all about the schedule. I'm trying not to adjust their schedule too much because I want it to be sustainable or almost sustainable when I go back to work or go back to the office. But yeah, welcome to the barky bark that is my life.
Yeah. And speaking of the schedule, I do think that, and we'll probably cover this a little bit more as we get to one of the webinars closer to when we get back to the office, but there is going to have to be some reverse training. Because just as they were not used to me being home, now we're going to have to go back through the process of getting them used to spending the day by themselves. So that is, I think, we talk about schedules, we talk about setting expectations. And just like we need to be patient with ourselves and with our kids and our spouses, we also need to be patient with our four-legged friends, because this is an adjustment for them as well. You see on the screen some other tips that I think are fantastic. No pet zones if you can achieve them. If you're like me and Christy, you have cats, and that does not apply to them. No rules apply to cats. I try to shut the door to my office, and my one cat will wiggle her paw under the door and shake it. So it is, you might as well just let her in. So I have found quiet toys help. My dogs love squeaky toys. They love toys with bells. The cats love toys with bells. Those are now all in the closet, and they'll come back out when I go back to work. And all of their toys now are very quiet. If you do need toys, we know we're not supposed to go out and shop. There's an online site, if you haven't heard of it, called Chewy.com that has an excellent assortment of toys. There are some that are not that expensive, and they usually deliver in 2 to 3 days. So those are some of the positive steps you can take. Obviously, if you have someone in the house with you, you can assign a pet partner, much like Julie was talking about. Mornings were for phone calls and afternoons are for quiet. You can also say, I'll deal with the pets this morning. You take them out this afternoon, and work together that way if you can. And the last thing, of course, is a very good mute button. So when you're on these kinds of phone calls or webinars and you've got barking in the background, not everyone has to hear that. And I think my last tip is, if they do, and if a cat pops into your picture, it's okay. It's, I think we need to give ourselves a break as well. We know, I think some clips have been very famous about pets and children breaking into webinars. I think right now a little bit of levity is useful. My cat has been popping into webinars and meetings since we've started, and the most comment I get is, "Oh, hi, kitty," and then the meeting goes on. So let's give ourselves a break and give the pets a break as well. It's going to happen. Just we're trying to minimize, not eliminate.
And I've had some comments here where Krista said she set up a gate so that her animals can see her but not stand on her keyboard. Great idea, especially if you have dogs. That would work really well. And yeah, I mean, with my pets, right now my husband's on wrangling duty, so he's got a bird, a dog, and a couple of the cats in the other room. But I've had my microphone on mute because my cats apparently have been tearing something up in the background, and I'm not going to go see what it is right now. So we deal with these things. Although people apparently don't mind animals in meetings. Did you hear that there's a new thing called Goat to Meeting? You know, we have GoToMeeting. This is GoToMeeting. There's all these places now that are somehow renting their pets virtually, where you can have a llama come jump in your meeting, things like that. Don't know
Are you
why.
making that up?
No, I promise you, I am not making that up. I don't know why. I just heard it a couple of minutes ago before this started, and I thought, I have to check that out after this is over. GoToMeeting. So.
I thought that was your segue to say, and here's the llama.
Oh, if I had a llama picture right now, you know that would be up there right now. So, okay, so give ourselves and our pets a little slack. Understand that it's, you know, it's okay if some of that happens. Julie, no, you're joking me. Sweet Farms does a llama call? Okay. Kina says that she has a small dog. She puts her doggy bed by the desk and allows her to get in there and cover her up with covers. Oh, great way to make it positive bonding time with your pet. So all of these things, getting creative with it, and if all else fails, just bringing them in on the meeting with you and having fun with it.
Giving them their 2 minutes of fame, like your cat did.
Go. So, all right. Okay. And Julie sent me the place where I can see the animals at the for meetings. So I will be looking that up after this is over, I can assure you. So, well, you know what, that kind of leads real well into our next part because it's about technology, right? This is the time of learning tech, huh?
Definitely. I tell you what, I wasn't very technologically savvy before this thing. And then, you know, once we got home, I am almost a Zoom guru. Not quite yet, but I am almost. I didn't know a thing about Zoom. I didn't even know it existed until this happened. And now that's all I use. I use, besides GoToWebinar. And, you know, I've learned how to navigate my way through a lot of different technical apps. So I'm pretty impressed with myself.
You should be. I'd be patting myself on the back if I were you.
I believe Kalisha is also, I think, is a great expert at, you know, dealing with technology, right, Kalisha?
Yes, and so Kim, just like you said, you didn't really know much about a lot of the technology you're using before this time. I kind of feel like I can pat myself on the back for all that I've learned in this time here. Zoom is also another one that I am more excited about. I just recently worked with another organization to host a presentation with them via Zoom, and I am surprised how much I enjoyed it. Just being able to connect with people as if I was in the classroom, same as before all this COVID-19 things happened. It's exciting to be able to interact with people like that again. And so I've had experience with other platforms for video conferencing. You've had the experiences with FaceTime and GoToWebinar and all these other, but there's something different about Zoom that I have really appreciated a lot. And so I've learned much more about how you can continue to engage with your participants and, you know, reading the chat features like you and Christy do in this webinar here, but then also, you know, finding ways that they can continue to, you know, chime in and actually use their own audio and talk to you in a session. I'm also using a different video conferencing in a class that I'm in after I'm at work. And it's just exciting to still feel that social connection with people beyond what you may be getting, you know, just talking to your coworkers in your home or, you know, the very minimum in what you're doing in social distancing. And so I encourage everyone, I know we have a webinar on communication. You know, it really is using Zoom. It really is a great tool in helping to increase that communication and that connection with your coworkers. A lot of other tech tips out there that we use, not just for communication, but for organizing. I've used Asana in the past and Monday and other tools like that to help to keep me organized in the tasks that I need to use throughout the day. And I know that they also encourage collaborations, not just on the projects that you have working on individually, but the projects that you're working on with other people as well. So just a few tips there. I think that this is just a great opportunity to just explore, to learn, and get to know what's out there and what works best for you and for your teams. So I mentioned Zoom in the very beginning. they have a support page, or they have live webinars where if you're, trying to figure out, could this be something that will work best for you and for your team, they have access to all kind of resources, articles, screenshots. I mentioned the live webinars, just so you can learn more about it and start to feel more comfortable using a lot of this new technology that could be our new norm.
Mm. That's some great tips, Kalisha. And, I found that, using Zoom and GoToWebinar, I'm a social butterfly and I like that interaction. So putting me in complete isolation with no contact, I don't know if I would make it. So I found that using Zoom and having that interaction with my coworkers has helped fill that little social butterfly need,
Kim, I'm the opposite. I'm not a social butterfly. I enjoy the time that I can work and focus on my task all by myself. But it's something about still being able to see people that really makes a difference in my day and challenges me to not completely isolate myself. And technology has really been, pulling me outside of my comfort zone in a good way.
Mm, yeah, definitely.
That is
Hi,
great.
Julie, you have something you want to share?
I do. I was browsing on social media last night and came across this post about an app for all of you that are homeschooling out there, and it's called Photomath.
That's
And
right.
you take a picture of the math problem, and it will give you step-by-step instructions on how they got to the solution.
Is
So
that
I
the
know
Common
that
Core way?
was that.
Is that the Common Core way?
I don't know. I didn't investigate that much since I'm not a homeschooler, but I was like, how cool is that? Because I think most people my age or older, we're the carry the one kind of people,
Yeah.
and we're gonna have all of these kids going back to school and saying that's not how my mom did it.
That's right. That's
That-
right. They're gonna be like, what was that? It was a show, and he said, "My mama said that's how it's gonna be when the kids go back." But that's very interesting, though, Julie, that photo math, and I'm gonna have to try that because a sixth grade math. I am not a sixth grade math teacher, and I'm just hoping that when he goes back, he's not too far behind.
Something I have found very handy is to create that tech calendar at home that we share, where I mark out whenever I have one of these coming up, it goes on the calendar so we know what's going on and each of us can make sure that we're not scheduling things at the exact same time because that can slow down the bandwidth and all of that. So it helps us to see what's going on around the house. Something Glenn Hayes had said in one of our earlier webinars, which is a really good point too, is that we get really excited because there's all these different tools. Not everybody is comfortable with all of these tools. So
right.
starting to narrow it down and finding those one that your whole group, your whole team can agree on and work with effectively is better than having 10 of them that a couple of people are really excited about. Now, we need to be able to have ones that all of us share. So it might mean that you don't get to use the fanciest things or the latest ones, but that's what communication is about. It's about adapting and making sure that we're using a tool or that we're using a method of communication that works for the people that we're trying to communicate with. So that's something to keep in mind on that. I call that, I came up with my own term for that. We have EQ, we have IQ. I say this is our TQ. It is tech quotient.
I like that.
Yes, I'm copywriting that one. So that could be but that's the thing. We're all getting very creative and innovative in the ways that we work with these things. We just got to make sure that we're on the same page with the folks that we work with and that they're all comfortable with whatever tools that we are using at the time. Let's see. I think we even have another. Oh, okay. This is important stuff, isn't it? Because as this progresses, we are finding that we are all at different places as far as emotionally and just the way we're handling all of this. And so this becomes a big part of what we're trying to deal with is our self-care.
Definitely. I mean, I can feel like I'm okay today, but just this morning I was having an emotional breakdown. My anxiety was at an all-time high, and it's unfortunately because I watched the news. I set myself up. I watched the news, and it gave me anxiety, and a million things started running through my head. And so it's okay for you to feel those emotions and to let yourself feel that emotions, but it's important that we feel it and then we remove ourselves from it and think about the things that we can control. But I think Dana, I know we talked last time about some self-care tips, but I think you have some more self-care tips for us today, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I agree with what you both said. I think the roller coaster is real. And it might be that you feel great and innovative and excited today and down in the dumps tomorrow or even in an hour from now. So that is a normal thing. As you see, though, we've had a great response. People have asked for this number, so we wanted to put it out here again, even though we had broadcast it before. Um, there's a hotline that you can call if things are too much. If you need someone to talk to who's maybe not a coworker, who maybe has an objective and just can listen, objective mindset. So you see there, LDH has a counseling hotline, 1-866-310-7977. And that line is available 24 hours a day, so you can reach it at any time. But I think also just knowing that the highs can be high, the lows can be very low, but as Kim said, you concentrate on what you can control and move forward from there. And so it's what are some of the things we can control? Well, you can control what you're eating. You can control how much you move. You can control what you drink, whether you're drinking a cherry Coke or a water, as I look at the cherry Coke on my desk, and which one makes you feel better. And I know, I think we've learned through the past couple of weeks what are things that work for us and what are things that don't. Um, and we could have a whole list. I'm sure Christy, you've probably got more tips coming in, but I want to point you to some other resources that if you're looking for, well, you're talking about movement, how much is enough? How much is too much? How much water should I be drinking? What can I do when I'm going out in public? How can I deal with stress other than this phone call that you've given me? I'm angry about what's going on. How do I deal with that? We want to point you into some of the other resources that we found and that have been quite useful for some of us here. One, of course, is we can't do a webinar without mentioning the CPTP courses that do already exist. There are 3 classes, actually 4, that come to mind immediately. I think they are on the screen, although it's hard for me to see. But let me just run through them. There's stress management. There's anger management. I talked earlier. I appeared earlier about pets. Sometimes they're driving me nuts, and I need to get away from them. So how do I deal with that anger? How do I deal with that stress? Working through challenging times. We talked before about communicating with people. Emotional intelligence is one that we offer. Yes, emotional intelligence 1 and 2 are aimed at supervisors, but that doesn't mean that there's not a lot of good information in there that is about recognizing and being aware of your own emotions and responding to the emotions of others. You can see here, there's something called Cornerstone Cares that we have found. Cornerstone is a private company. They have established a website that is a portal to a certain number of COVID-19 classes, and it's free to the public for now. They are going to, currently their end date is 4/30. They may extend it. I don't know if they will, but they do have a series of courses on some of the topics that we've been talking about. So if you're looking for more depth than you can get in a format such as this, that's something that you might want to take into account. It's, as I said, it's free. You do have to create an account to participate, and you probably will get a follow-up phone call from their sales department. So with that in mind, it's just something we wanted to throw out there that's available to people that are out there now, so that might need it. So I hope we've given a fair kind of overview of some of the things that are out there to help. But just like we said, give your spouses a break, give your kids a break, give your pets a break, give yourself a break. And I think just knowing and expecting that you're gonna have some hard times. This is I don't remember if it's an article or even just a meme that I read. This is a national trauma that we are dealing with, and trauma doesn't go away in a day or two. So you just be strong. You understand that there are people that have your back. We're trying to help as much as we can. Stay close to your coworkers. Stay close to your family, as long as you're doing social distancing, and take advantage of these resources that are out there if you need a little bit more help.
Thank you, Dana. And yeah, we have some other resources listed in our handout. And so there's a number of other places that have resources like this that'll really help a lot. I love this. Sandy just said these webinars are part of my self-care. When I
Oh,
get overwhelmed to concentrate on my day-to-day work, being able to do something different and hearing about others' experiences have really helped. And I think that's just outstanding to hear. That's what we dream to hear about these. And yes, I will show you at the end of the program where you can get that handout that has us other resources, because we want you to be able to use all of that information that we have. And we keep gathering, we just keep growing every, single day. Um, let's see here. Okay, I think we've actually, yes, we've come to the part with closing thoughts. Uh, it's those little things that we've learned over the courses of these weeks. For me, okay, from the first webinar, I remember the first webinar, I took my glasses off because immediately when I turned the camera on, I saw this giant blue glare on my glasses. So for those of you who have glasses and have to do a lot of meetings, here's my tip for you. Turn the display brightness down on your monitor. It will help a whole lot. You will actually not be blinding people with big blue lights in front of you. The other thought that I have is I liked that meme. Did you see that meme this morning, Kim, that I sent out? It was a really good one, actually. It said a great thing if you have others in your house is to create an imaginary coworker and blame everything bad on them. So today, David and I have been talking about how Ethel left a coffee cup out and she's really a slob and we think we're going to try to get her out of the office. So that's how we do that. Kim, what are some of the realizations that you've had?
some of my closing thoughts is I want everybody to realize we provided you with some tips today, but it's basically finding what best fits you. And if you haven't found your groove yet, or a schedule that works for you, it's okay. Be kind to yourself. This is trying times. I just want you guys just to try some of the tips that you learned and just try to find what's best for you. And just be kind to yourself, be kind to others that are in your home and your children. And so I'm glad that you guys have spent today with us, or this hour. I hope you've taken something from this.
And for those of you who are having challenges with the office and being able to work effectively with them, communication is the key. Please remember that, if you're having problems and you think, I don't know how to work with my boss anymore, I feel like I'm being micromanaged, or I felt like I've been left hanging out to dry, because there's nobody talking to me. Whichever way you feel right now, it's a valid feeling, and it's okay to have that open communication with those that you work with and say, I need more input. I need to feel like that I'm still part of the team, or I don't feel comfortable with the way that we're working right now. Is there some way that we can adjust it? That's the only way we're going to get this right, because none of us are experts at this yet.
That's
We are
right.
all still learning. Please take the time to help your supervisor learn too, and to help you learn as we learn this whole process together. And I invite any of our other team members who would like to jump in and give other comments, please do so. Let's see here. What else do we have? One person saying it's very important to remember that I am working from home and my home does not need to become my job. So that's a really good point. And she tries to video chat with at least one friend per day to keep her social needs taken care of. And I think that's really important. We remember to sometimes talk to our coworkers because we have to have meetings, but why not schedule some time with somebody you haven't talked to in a long time? How about stopping and thinking about those people that are alone right now and don't have to worry about others in the house? Well, they have the other problem. So why not contact one of them and check in with them? This is the time we can make a difference with every single person throughout the state that we know, that we work with. And it's also time to make those connections that we've kind of let lapse because we got so busy with all those activities we do every single night, or all those things that we're constantly running, soccer practice, this and that. And you don't get a chance to talk to people that you really need to connect with. This is that opportunity. And it's also an opportunity to connect with ourselves, which is kind of a nice time too. Yeah, getting comfortable with that. Yes, and let's see here. Some people say, we got to remember to have patience, be polite, and calls and emails, and finding ways to reduce your stress. I tried to watch like one of the press conferences on Facebook and found the comments were bothering me. So I just clicked off where I couldn't see the comments. Remembering that you don't have to engage in those things that upset you. You don't have to listen to the bad news. You don't have to sit there and take everything in. That's not your duty. Instead, it's your duty to take care of yourself a little bit right now. And that's what the self-care part was about. Let's see here. I like this one. I want everyone to stay encouraged and allow yourself to make mistakes and learn from the mistakes. Find the awesome spot for yourself. It's also all right to laugh at yourself. Kina, thank you so much, because as a person who had a cat walking behind her earlier, I need to hear those things too. Oh, excellent insights today. And I think we got some really good information here that's going to help a whole lot of people. And that's what we're trying to do with all of this. I want to remind you, yes, okay, we do have all this information is on the handouts. What you do is you go to that Louisiana State Civil Service page and you're going to open up and you'll see talent development and CPTP. Okay, once you click on that, it brings up that page, and down at the bottom of that page, you'll see Success Series webinar. And when you click on that, it automatically brings up all the handouts from all of our past webinars. It brings up also the registration for the other webinars, like next week's, which is on communication, and the week after that, which is on lessons learned. We have that's on there. So all of that information is there. And then of course, we also have these webinars. They're editing them as fast as they can. So as soon as one of these is over, we got poor old Todd back there working, hiding himself back in a closet somewhere, working on that, trying to edit it so he can get it straight back up onto YouTube, and you'll be able to see them. So that's what we're working on, having this up there as soon as possible. Dana?
Hi, yeah, just popping back in because I don't know if everyone knows this, but the first two webinars are now also in the process of being uploaded to Leo. So we'll send out an email blast when that happens. The thinking behind that is not everyone has access to very good internet at home. Not everyone is going to be able to view these live or on YouTube. So this is another way that perhaps people can take part in these. So like I said, we'll send an email blast out through the training coordinators once they've been, once they're running in Leo.
Excellent. Ah, yes, yet another way you can get this information. We are going to keep helping in any way that we possibly can and keep sharing information like that. Kim, you have been wonderful today with such great input.
You too, Christiane. And thanks to our panelists that came in and shared those wonderful tips, and our audience who shared some of their tips. And I wrote some of them down, so I can't wait to try them.
I'm really excited because they had some great ideas. We're going to keep building on this list of ideas. We're all going to continue learning together and making mistakes together. And yes, laughing at those mistakes together, because that's what we can do in this difficult time, is that we can realize we're not alone. And yes, we can get through this as long as we got each other. And we are connected. Yep. We're not connected in person right now, but we are so connected spiritually, so connected technology-wise. And we have all these opportunities and all these wonderful people who are going through the same thing. So let's all work together. And please keep your spirits up, and please don't forget to keep on learning.
Every day for every citizen.